What areas in your life do you keep with the status quo? Think about things you've wanted to try but have stopped yourself because you worry about what others may think. What is one small way you can serve yourself first? One small way that's going to allow you to get a little bit more rebellious against this people-pleasing box you've put yourself in. Being limitless is knowing your success and your growth are built on a radical belief in yourself. Limitless is honoring your purpose, your health, and impact above all else. Limitless is never playing small because the more alive you feel in your life, the more growth and success you attract. Hi, my name is Jamie Ratermann, and I am a holistic business coach, meaning I am just as invested in growing your health as I am in growing your wealth. With 11 plus years in brand and social media marketing, I help rebellious entrepreneurs master marketing, embody leadership, and say fuck it to the hustle. This show is here to encourage you to become more radically aware of your self-imposed limits, to break free of your shoulds, and to expand your brand into a movement led by you. Hello, lovelies. Welcome to another episode of the Limitless Podcast. I am so excited to be chatting with you. I'm recording this on a Monday, so I'm just like feeling the weekend vibes, walking into the week. And particularly recently, I decided that I would join a friend to do a 10K that's happening in June. And in the process of this is that I haven't been like a runner for a while. I've probably for the last 5 years, I've decided that strength training is my exercise of choice. And trying to keep your mindset going on just a 3-mile run on the treadmill is a completely different experience. It's really interesting. I think that there's so many good metaphors about when you're trying to build your health, as well as when you're trying to build an entrepreneurial business, for the fact that like, I knew I could do 3 miles. In the past, I'd gone up to 11 miles before, which was a feat by itself. And there's like a meditative state. But in general, your mindset's like, oh, let's get off. Like, oh, this isn't working, or this isn't that easy. We got to stop. And I was just like, 2 more, 0.2 more. And I got through that 3-mile mark. And it's just reminding myself that it's always hard the first time you do something, and it gets easier and easier after. So yes, for any of you who want to join me in New York City for the 10K that's happening in Central Park on that day, let me know. But also, just a quick reminder that anything that you're trying that's brand new to you will always be hard the first time. Which leads us into this episode. This episode is me talking to you about how we are going to slowly deconstruct our people-pleasing tendencies. So this is an episode that is a sister episode to that is people pleasing affecting your business growth. So if you haven't gotten a chance to listen to that episode, I'd encourage you to. So I dove in where I constantly see people pleasing preventing my clients from rising to and hitting their goals. So when you get a chance to listen to it, it's more about you becoming really aware of how this characteristic can affect your overall well-being in your business and, of course, your bottom line. So this is where entrepreneurship in general beats corporate life for me. So the activations, the practices, the rituals that we're about to dive into can be applied in your business and in your life. So at least for me, my corporate experience didn't really allow me to expand outside of my, trying to outdo my productivity each week. So it really wasn't about really understanding emotionally how I can become a bigger and better person. There just wasn't room for that. But within this and what I'm sharing here, and reason why I wanted to have this 2-part series about people pleasing, is that by really releasing this particular characteristic, you're enriching your life and your business. So being a part of this is really important. I'm going to share 5 really essential practices for you. And these can be used on sales calls, how boldly you show up in your content, how you care and treat yourself in the day-to-day, and ultimately how open you are to making sure your vision for your wealth, your business, your life comes to fruition. So no more waiting. Let's go ahead and just dive right in. So the first ritual and practice to really release people pleasing is to practice saying no without an excuse. That last part is important. Practice saying no without making an excuse for why you need to say no. So nothing scares a people pleaser more than saying no. And in general, being a decisive decision maker. I feel like in general, the majority of the people who I know who are big people pleasers, like there's so much sorry. There's so much like, no, sorry, because I gotta do these things, or whatever you want to do. There's a lot of this like They can't make a decision for themselves if they know it's going to impact somebody else. This is exactly why saying no can be so difficult. So this one is all about how you can, feel into your body and decide what is best for you first. And it's going to take some time to feel comfortable in doing this. Going back to that 3-mile run I did yesterday in preparation for the 10K. It felt weird, but I knew that it's going to get easier. So this doesn't mean that you won't be open to negotiation. I think that when I have some of my people pleasing clients talk to me about, well, I don't want to be completely inflexible. That's not what we're chatting about today. It's the ability to know that if you strongly say where you're at, that is where you understand where the two sides can negotiate. So you want to hold your place firmly. So you've probably heard this, I don't know, slogan saying before that if it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. And in all honesty, I actually don't agree with the statement itself, but it has merit to some of our smaller decisions. So let's put this into practice. Can I pick your brain? No. I want to encourage you all to hold on to that one. If you got people in your DMs regularly asking you about your strategies, how to do things, learn to say no more than you say yes to that. So can I pick your brain? No. Can I have that early bird discount even though your program starts in 2 days? No. Do you want Thai food tonight? No. I feel like that was one of the first places I really realized when I wanted to say no is that when I had a couple friends or even my fiance going, why don't we go to the same place we've always gone before? I'm like, no, I don't want to. Like, no, I don't like, that's not what I want. And it just helped me go, if I can confidently say this here, I can say it somewhere else. But in truth, no is a full sentence, full stop. It is a full sentence. So you do not have to add anything more to that. The tendency, though, is most people pleasers have this need to, say gibberish in reality to accompany no. They're just extra words to soften the blow. And in doing so, it makes it really less clear of where they're at, what their stance is on whatever the decision is. So if you must decide that you're going to add a statement with your no, ensure that it is in the same tone as the no. So like, no, sorry, I just got too much going on. It's a lot different than no, I'm not able to. Like holding that. So let's go back to the example of, can I pick your brain? Can I pick your brain? No, that is what I do for my paying clients. That is a statement that's sticking with that no, right? Versus the no with an excuse would be, can I pick your brain? No, I'd love to help you, but I'm just so busy right now. Maybe another time. So it's being able to know that one is going to be, I'm holding strong in where I'm at, and comes with a little more respect that you're standing tall in what your practices are. So there's a big difference, right? You see that. This act is difficult, to be sure. We've been taught that putting others' feelings before our own is the best way to live. So this is us rebelling against that. We're really realizing that if we hold to what we want in the moment, the more we're going to get what we want. So in my coaching programs, I love to practice saying no. And I really encourage this role play piece, because it's one thing to know it, it's another to confidently say it. So when I will ask somebody to play this out, let's say in our mastermind calls or even on our marketing mastery calls, I'll be like, all right, go ahead and tell me how you set your boundary with your clients. There's usually this like, no, I don't even want to do this in front of people. But the reason why role playing is such a important thing that I like to include in my programs is because I don't want the first time that you say no to be on a sales call, to be with that client who consistently thinks that you should be available to them, to be in the DM, to be when you're on a first date, even to be able to know that the more we practice this, the easier this is going to get. Within that, the second piece that I think is essential for if you are trying to release people pleasing is become best friends with your nervous system. We're going to regulate it. For the fact that, just using our last example, keeping no in mind, it's not just about saying it, it's fully embodying it. So the recovering people pleaser's best tool is to have a calm and cared for nervous system. Because even as we hold boundaries and prioritize ourselves, saying no, our insides do these flips. Like our heart feels so heavy. We just feel this stress. It's almost like you can feel like kind of pinpricks across your skin. And when you know that you might be saying something that could make somebody else mad, you're like, oh, I don't want to. It's almost like we're punching ourselves in the stomach by making this choice, right? But this is why I don't fully agree with the statement. If it's not a hell yes, it's a hell no. For many people pleasers, we trained ourselves to make choices that are for the good of all, not for the good of us. So sometimes when we say no, it's because we are trying to stay the same and unhappy so that we don't affect others. This comes up a lot when someone's making their first investment in their business, is that they're going back and forth because they know that if they invest, they can't, spend money on their kids sometimes as much, or they can't spend as much time with their husbands. They can't go out with their friends as much. They're making an investment in their time and energy, and they know that that might make others have to adjust to them. So knowing that if you have not been in the practice of saying yes to yourself, we may need to help you regulate your nervous system so you can start making decisions for yourself. That's why your relationship to your nervous system is the key to following through with recovering from people pleasing. Regulating your nervous system can look like a meditation, can look like daily walks, breath work, dancing, more. The best way to balance your nervous system is to engage in each of your senses individually. And you can start to do them together if you'd like. But really being able to know that if I can, to be grounded, I can use sight, feel, smell, taste, and my hearing, all to help me just be present, grounded, and know that I can regulate my emotions in the process. So I'm going to give you a couple of examples of how you can do this. For sight, closing your eyes in a meditation can help so much. Even I love to play like I Spy wherever I am. So I Spy would be, for instance, even in my own apartment, if I go, I spy something purple, if I can look around the room and see how many things are purple in my purview, it'll allow me to be like, this is my space. This is what I see. This is what around me. And it's one of my favorite things. But essentially, when you play I Spy with yourself, it's just helping you to establish your space and be present. For feeling, something really easy that I've been taught many times before is essentially just touching your body in some way. It can be like brushing off your arms, like even too, like if sometimes when you're brushing off bad thoughts, like a quick little, can be so helpful. For everyone watching on YouTube, you're watching me brush my arms. But also too, like massage, even like a quick massage of your legs or massage of your arms, all of that can help you just to engage with your body. But one of my favorite things is raspberries. So, when you're a kid, you blew raspberries, same thing goes here. So I want to make sure I do this a little bit away from the mic, but sometimes if I'm just feeling all up in the head, I'll do it for a while. And that feeling of vibration just allows, it's kind of something that ripples throughout your body if you do it for a while, and you can feel that groundedness. You're allowing your body to feel into what's going on. All of this can be a way to use feeling to regulate your nervous system. Smell, it's more like breathing. I say, like, I kind of relate smell to breathing in a lot of ways, like a 4-7-8 breath. So inhaling for 4, holding for 7, exhaling for 8. For all my sprinters, that's such an way to get that calm and focus. But also too, thinking about some aromatherapy around your place. I have a lot of essential oils, candles, diffusers. Having that just be a part of your life can be really helpful as well. Taste. I can't tell you how much just taking that first sip of coffee in the morning is the way in which I start my day. So absolutely savoring your taste is the big deal. So that might look like, stopping and just going, what do I notice about my tea? What do I notice about my coffee? That can be supportive. It's also a challenge to go electronic free during lunch, so you actually enjoy your food. All of that can be a way. And last but not least, your how you hear. So this is one that can be really fun. Like for many of you, if you've been following me for a while, dancing in the apartment is a big one. So finding your favorite pump up music, and allowing even one song to 3 minutes to just go crazy and dance around your living room, that sound is going to allow you to just like get yourself going. But there's also something to be said about things like brown noise and healing sound baths, different things like that. So I've had a couple clients come through who have ADHD, and I have brown noise playlists on like in my checklist of like, use this so that they know that one, they're going to get their best focus, but knowing that like the more we can engage in and how we hear is all going to be supportive. I also love the Superhuman app. They have some great music and meditation apps that help you just like feel. So knowing that sometimes whenever we are in our head or where our emotions are causing us to feel a certain way, we forget about our senses. We forget about how we forget that we're more than just our mind. We're our whole body. So using your five senses is a really great way to at least start to regulate your nervous system. So this is where you want to begin. So when you start to say no, you're going to feel like there's a pit in the bottom of your stomach, for sure. So we want you to process these emotions by using these practices so you can come back to yourself first and make sure we are not stressed or in a mindless state when we're about to engage in some difficult conversations, into some kind of conflict, or essentially just hold our boundary. All of this is going to help us to choose ourselves first. The big one that I know you are all like, oh, of course she's going to talk about this during this episode is to set and hold boundaries. You've heard this before. People pleasers are awful at holding boundaries. Why would we hold a boundary? We want to be available to everybody at all times. So we must debunk a quick myth before we even jump into this. Boundaries are not something that we set once and then forget about. Effective boundaries are set and repeated until they are understood. So understanding this is that, one, you can set a boundary in a contract. You can tell them when you're available. You can, in general, have a list of rules set around, but you're going to have to repeat it until a client, a family member, a friend understands that this is a boundary they cannot cross. So know that the first time you set a boundary is not the only time you're going to be setting that boundary. For boundaries, you got to set and hold them. So let's start with two essential boundaries that I feel like if you've listened to the previous episode or the part one of this, that you're going to remember some of these things. But I got to dove into them a little bit. So availability is definitely one of these boundaries that we're going to get into. For any entrepreneur, your time and energy are the foundation for how fast you build your business. So how available you are to your customers needs to be something you set early and adhere to. So especially if you're a service provider, this is an important piece when deciding your prices and your level of support in each of your programs. So starting here, go through one of your offers, what products or services, and consider how much time each week you can truly devote to it. Include all the details. So if I'm looking at any of my programs, I'm going to think about how much I'm going to be coaching, how much I'm going to be checking in on feedback, how much in general I'm going to be available to them. That like what level I can give based off of how much they spent to be in the program. But also too, looking at what I can realistically give while running a podcast and having one-on-one clients and a membership, knowing that I got to really understand how much of myself I can give per offer. So what you truly can give without feeling burnt out or resentful of the price that those people paid. So availability can help you in that. Let me go ahead and use my mastermind as this full example. So I answer my clients in my mastermind at least 2 times per day in our group Voxer. They have one-on-one calls every month. They have at least 2 group hot seat calls. They have access to all of my live programs. There's more. It's a high touch experience. It's something where they do life with me, meaning I am more available to them than most of my clients, but I still hold boundaries, knowing that I cannot be completely available without feeling some kind of burnout, right? So I set the times that I'm going to plan and check the Voxer. So this is a boundary for me. So knowing that if I don't set those times, I might be in there every single moment I can think of it. I might be checking that thing once an hour, and you know that disruption is not going to allow me to get my own work done. So I have 2 times that I know that I'm absolutely going to check it so that the rest of the day I don't need to be worried about getting in there. I even have a rule too. So a lot of my mastermind, I'd like to give them the opportunity to have some feedback, an audit of their documents, their content, things like that. That's a 72-hour feedback process. I tell them, if you give it to me, you got to give me at least 3 days before I can get back to you. Does it mean that sometimes I am able to get to it before then? Of course. But that boundary I have to set is to know that they're not going to be dropping in their documents every single day, because I know I can't do that on a daily basis. So holding that, I've absolutely had mastermind clients that are in a frenzy and feeling a certain way. I'm like, can you look at this now? And I have to reset that boundary and go, no, you know the rule. I'm not able to get to this today. And that is the way in which, like, even some of the most gracious clients of mine have to be reminded of a boundary, and that's okay. Within that, weekends are response free as well. So I've been in many Voxer groups where the coach is always available. And within that, I sometimes feel as if like they never can have like a shutdown. And I love my weekend shutdowns a little bit. So of course I encourage them to drop into the chat, but they have to understand that they cannot expect a response until Monday. This goes for you too. Think about, how available are you? Even with your highest paying clients, how can you hold space for yourself and create clarity with just knowing that they have certain expectations and they know what's possible? We kind of, at least in the coaching industry, we call this setting the container, making sure they know what's available to them on a regular basis and what they have access to. So playing with this, think about your offers and how you can adjust. One other boundary that I think is essential for people pleasers is prioritizing your business before your clients. This has to be the second highest boundary in general that I suggest. I shared this a little bit in the last episode, but in general, this is to prevent serving your current clients so much that you block your next ones from coming to you. So start with thinking about this mantra. By showing up and being visible, I become a magnet to my next clients. So being able to know that the more that we do things for ourselves and our business, we are courting our next clients. The difficulty here is that people pleasers decide that their content, their automations, their business does not outweigh their clients' needs 90 to 100% of the time. This comes up the most during our time blocking lesson in marketing mastery. I usually I set that time, but I never actually do it. See this for what it truly is. Your dreams, your desires, your needs are not more important than your clients. We need to extinguish this. So by committing to actually following through with how you design your day, you are beginning to trust that you will show up for yourself. And of course, by doing that, you'll likely grow the way you want to. So again, people telling me that calendar blocks don't work for them, it has nothing to do with the calendar blocks. It's how much you are committed to following through for yourself. This is something where you can try to challenge yourself for the next 7 days. Make a habit tracker. Just see how different you feel once you decide to make a habit of truly following through for yourself. So whether that's deciding, okay, I'm going to put a creative block on my calendar 3 times a week, I'm going to stick with it, and check in at the end of the day. How do I feel that I decided to choose myself today? It is going to absolutely blow your mind. Believe me. Once you start to trust yourself, it's so amazing. I can't even talk to you about it. It's just you have to feel it to understand it for sure. The fourth one here, when it comes to people pleasing tendencies, you want to ask and receive support. Please never get stuck in I should be able to do this by myself. This has got to be one of the loneliest traits of being a people pleaser. We are willing to give up our time and our energy to others, and somehow we find any weakness, like it's a weakness in ourselves if we need support too. I get this all the time for people who are considering jumping into coaching. Like, I should be able to do this by myself. Why? We thrive better in community. So take a moment to think about how much you are putting on yourself on a regular basis, especially for my entrepreneurs. If you've reached a 5K per month mark within your business, a VA is absolutely necessary so you can scale your business and focus on those money-making tasks. So I'm going to share in an upcoming episode what I would recommend for early entrepreneur expenses. So stay tuned on that. But right now, take a moment to really realize what you are putting on yourself. To get a full picture, this is truly where people-pleasing entrepreneurs stay stuck. Not only do we think that we aren't deserving of support, which is a whole thing, but we also decide that to be worthy of it, that we must figure it out ourselves. So in doing so, we lose time, energy, and growth. It takes us longer to get to where we need to go. As humans, we rise faster in community. I could do an entire episode on the studies and the data behind this. By leaning on others for accountability and support, you will get to where you want to go faster. So by having a small team to help with admin tasks, an accountability buddy to keep you on task with your goals, a knowledgeable coach to guide you to your best business decisions, you are guaranteeing a more speedy process. But first, we must see ourselves as deserving of that. So take a moment. I like to kind of do this when I'm finding myself, putting too much on myself. So take a moment to close your eyes and consider what it would feel like to literally be lifted up. Imagine you're crowd surfing. That not only do you have the support of the above mentioned team I just mentioned, but also knowing that they can and will continue to hold you. So if I was doing this right now, I would be like, okay, what does it feel like to know that my podcast editor, my VA, my accountability buddies, my coach are all making sure that I don't fall in the crowd? Not only that they're bouncing me back up, they're helping me feel 100%. This is what it can feel like to put yourself first. But you got to do that thing first. Ask for support. That's where we're going to go. Our last piece here when it comes to leasing our people pleaser is to accept more of who you are. I share a lot about this, about how being a standout brand and showing up as genuine to yourself as possible is going to move the needle for you. But this can be the hardest. As a recovering people pleaser, we stayed in a box most of our lives. The box that kept everyone around us happy, that didn't ruffle too many feathers, that didn't break the rules. But this also is a surefire way for us to lose meaning in our life, for us to feel like we're going through the motions, and even truly feeling resentful of all the hard work and it not turning into anything. I want you to revisit the Entering Our Villain Era episode because I go really directly into this in that episode, but I want to share 2 ways that you can really start to just accept more of who you are. First is taking on little acts of rebelliousness. So for most, it's best for us to chip away pieces to get out of this cage that we've put ourselves in by making everyone else happy. Then we can pull out the jackhammer. Then we can make sure we're making the biggest dents that we want to. So start to follow your intuition as they happen. For me, my little acts of rebelliousness looked like sharing on my Instagram stories with a sweaty face, like letting myself be seen in all versions of me. I'm sure I still remember when I would answer the door after a workout session when I was young, and my mom was like, "Why would you answer the door that way?" I just can imagine those things. But just sharing more, like me in all of my ways on my Instagram stories was absolutely a surefire way to do that. Even too, putting on a red lip in front of family or friends that hadn't seen me that way was a bold move. So doing that at weddings or even just like family get-togethers, that was my small way to be able to be bolder version of myself. Allowing myself to take off a sweaty shirt when I'm in a workout class. I can remember the biking class, the first time I did it and going, oh my gosh, no, everyone's going to look at me and I don't look like Sports Illustrated right now. Like, how am I going to do this? But I was in a dark room. The music was loud. Everyone was focused on their own workouts. And here I am going, this is a small act to allow me to accept my body a little bit more today. So knowing that these are ways that this can help. This also comes into play where I've shared what I don't really like about the industry I have around me. I first did it in my Instagram stories. Those expire in 24 hours. That's a little act for me. Then I gained that confidence, that evidence is shared in my social feeds, then in my emails. And then now it can be a part of my brand that allows me to decide, when you come into my programs, this is what you're going to see. It's a whole human experience. I'm not going to push strategies down your throat. I know exactly what I'm about, but I wasn't exactly ready to put myself out there until I turned on the camera and said it in my stories, and then built off of that. So take a moment. What areas in your life do you keep with the status quo? Think about things you've wanted to try, but have stopped yourself because you worry about what others may think. What is one small way you can serve yourself first? One small way that's going to allow you to get a little bit more rebellious against this people-pleasing box you've put yourself in. By doing these small acts of a rebellion, you are creating evidence with your subconscious that things are going to shift. To break a pattern, you just simply must choose differently. One last thing when it comes to accepting more of who you are is within all of this, the number one characteristic you want to adopt is to accept yourself with self-compassion. So take a moment to think about if you could be in a relationship with yourself. So think about getting outside of yourself. For anyone who has a little trouble with this, imagine you are in a relationship with your celebrity crush and just imagine how well you're going to treat them. So let's just put this into practice. Would you be a good partner if you kept telling yourself that you should stay small? So knowing that if you were in a relationship with yourself and be like, nope, you stay small. Don't do anything to be any bigger than anybody else. Would that be a good partner? What if your partner said mean things to you every time you made a small mistake? Do we want to be in that relationship? Or what if they blocked you from sharing your needs? You're like, I don't need to hear that. Or even never allowing yourself to ask for help, even with the chores around the house, whatever that might be. But understanding that if we allow ourselves to treat ourselves badly, so will everybody else. The more that we can take care of ourselves, even the way we speak to ourselves, actually probably the most important, then everyone else is going to understand that you hold yourself higher, that you accept who you are. So I keep self-compassion up in my own life because I have it as a regular journal prompt. How loving is your relationship to yourself lately? That is something that's plastered and I remind myself to journal about on a regular basis. Am I being loving to myself lately? At the end of the day, you can decide that being more human is more magnetic than being the perfect example. Okay? So accept more of who you are. I've loved sharing this and giving you pieces of my own people-pleasing recovery. There's been more than one comment that's passed by me in the last 10 years where I hear I'm so decisive. I'm so bold and shine brighter that they trust my opinion because it seems like I really know what I'm talking about. That the respect level with those boundaries, it's crazy. But I also have gotten the other side of the coin where you're a bit meaner since you moved to New York. I think that's funny when I actually there's so many stories to this, but also I've even had a comment before like, are you sure you want to do that? People will really notice you if you do that. Now, those people will remain nameless, but knowing that like by deciding that I deserve to be happy first, yes, other people are either going to get on board and support you, or they're going to remind you that you've been in a cage for a while and that they have every right to feel the way they do, but you get to feel how you want first. That is the purpose of releasing your people pleaser. This is what it is. Take back control of how you design your life and allow your desires to lead you. From one recovered people pleaser to another, you are worthy of all you desire in your life. You deserve to have the support and rise to be the person you've always wanted to become. Choose yourself and allow your star to shine brightest. And then when you shine even brighter, all of those around you are going to be able to glimmer in your light. So if after listening to this 2-episode series, you are ready to ask for full support to release any of these people-pleasing blocks that are preventing you from making money in your business, that are slowing down your ability to scale your business, I'd love for you to join me in the Thrive Mastermind. In there, we get to break these subconscious patterns. It's not easy to do that in a short amount of time. That's why having this 5-month container ensures that me and the community can help release what's blocking you so that you can be the person that leads the wealthiest version of your business because you take care of yourself first. So take a look in the show notes if you're interested. We start in June, but I'm opening the Voxer now. So if you are somebody who wants to jump in, you can. Until the next episode, live a little more limitless.